So, if you're learning to code in Python, let's talk about one of the most powerful tools you have, functions. Now, don't let the word scare you. I want you to think of a function as a perfect recipe, a set of instructions you write down just once but can use over and over again. This one idea is a total game changer, so let's get into it. And to really understand why these recipes are so important, let's meet somebody who could really use one. This is Chef Antoine. He's an amazing cook, but honestly, his kitchen is a complete mess, and the dinner rush is just about to hit. And that brings us right to our first section, the overwhelmed chef. We're about to see a problem that pretty much every new programmer and every single busy chef runs into. Okay, so here's Chef Antoine's big problem. He's making the same tomato sauce from scratch for every single dish. The pizza, the pasta, the lasagna, he's doing the exact same steps again and again. In programming, we have a name for this, repeating yourself. And it's just a terrible idea. It wastes so much time and energy, and even worse, it means the sauce might taste a little different each time. It's just inconsistent. And then, finally, he has that light bulb moment. He realizes he doesn't need to keep reinventing the sauce. What he needs is one single perfect recipe that he can just pull out and follow whenever he needs it. And that thought right there, that is exactly why functions exist in programming. So, let's help our chef out. Let's move on and actually write his first master recipe. And we're gonna do it using Python. In the world of Python, this master recipe is called a function, and it's exactly what it says on the screen, a named block of code you can reuse to do one specific thing. The key here is simple but so powerful. You write it once, and then you can use it 1,000 times if you want. This comparison just nails it. A recipe card has a name, right? Well, a function has a name too, and we start it with the keyword def. A recipe needs ingredients. A function gets its ingredients from something called parameters, which live inside the parentheses. The recipe has step-by-step instructions. A function has its instructions in a block of indented code. And that final delicious dish, that's like the return value from a function. It's the result you get back. All right, let's actually build Chef Antoine's recipe together. We start with the keyword def. This is you telling Python, hey, pay attention, I'm defining a new recipe. Then we give it a clear, simple name, like make sauce, and follow it with a pair of parentheses. Of course, you can't make sauce with nothing. So inside those parentheses, we list our ingredients. In Python, we call these parameters. For our sauce, we'll need tomatoes, garlic, and herbs. These are the things our function needs to get the job done. And here comes a tiny but absolutely critical piece of the puzzle, the colon. You pop it right at the end of the line, and it's a signal to Python. It says, okay, the name and ingredients are set. Get ready because the instructions are coming up next. Now, after that colon, everything gets indented. See that space? That's super important. That indentation is how Python knows that all these instructions belong to the make_sauce recipe. It groups them all together in one block. And just like that, we have the structure for our very first function. But you know, just like when you're learning to cook, you're bound to make a few messes when you're learning to code. So let's talk about some common kitchen mistakes and how to fix them. Oh, this one is the classic beginner mistake, forgetting that little colon at the end of the line. It happens to everyone. If you forget it, Python will just stop everything and give you a syntax error. That's basically Python's way of saying, hey, you told me instructions were coming, but you never gave me the signal. The fix for this is so easy. Just go back to that line where you define the function, look all the way to the end, and make sure that colon is there before your instructions start. Okay, here's another one you'll see. Our recipe needs 3 ingredients, but look, we only gave it 2. When this happens, Python gives you a type error, and it's actually really helpful. It says, hey, you're missing the herbs argument. It's like trying to bake a cake but forgetting to add the sugar. It's just not gonna work. So how do you fix this? Always check your recipe. Just look back at your function definition, see how many parameters it needs, and then make sure you give it a value for every single one when you use it. Okay, you've seen how to write the recipe, and you've seen a couple of common mistakes. I think it's time for a quick taste test to see if you're getting the hang of this. All right, take a look at this line of code. What's wrong with this function definition? I'll give you a second. Did you spot it? The parentheses around the parameter name are missing. Remember, all your ingredients, even if there's only one, have to go inside the parentheses. Okay, Next question. Let's say you have a function called bake_cake, and it needs two ingredients, flour and sugar. How would you actually call that function to use it? You'd type the function name, bake_cake, and then in the parentheses, you'd provide the ingredients you want to use. Let's wrap this up with a quick fire review. So, def, that kicks off the recipe. The parentheses, they hold our ingredients. The colon, that's the signal that the instructions are about to start. And the indentation, that's what groups all those instructions together. Get these 4 things right, and you are well on your way. All right, now that we've written the recipe and done a little practice, let's see how this completely transforms Chef Antoine's kitchen. It is time for the chef's master plan. And just look at this. It's so much better. Chef Antoine wrote his master recipe, that make sauce function, one single time. Now, when he needs sauce for pizza, he just calls make sauce. When he needs it for pasta, he calls it again. For the lasagna, you got it, he calls it again. It's clean, it's efficient, and the sauce is perfect every single time. And that's the real magic. He did the work of writing the recipe once, but he got the reward 3 times with absolutely no extra effort. His kitchen is organized, his food is consistent, and now he actually has time to be creative. This is the real power of functions. So at the end of the day, functions aren't just for chefs, they're for you. Start thinking about the repetitive tasks in your own code. What are the things you do over and over? Those are the perfect candidates for your first recipes. So I'll leave you with this question.